This podcast is sponsored by BB Makes, a personalised gift company. Are you looking for the secret Santa gifts with a difference? Trying to buy for that one friend who has it all? Or maybe just the grumpy family member who doesn't want anything? Well, look no further than BB Makes, the family-run personalised gift company who can create the perfect gift just for you. With the ability to create custom orders on a wide variety of products, Christmas shopping has just become as easy as scoring at the Etihad. Contact them at info@bbmakes.com to talk to them about designing something just for you, or you can visit www.bbmakes.com to shop for their pre-designed items. Don't forget to use the code COIS to let them know where you came from.
Welcome to the Spurs News Podcast, your home for all things Tottenham Hotspur. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Spurs News Podcast. I am Sam. Joining me to discuss all the latest happenings in the mad and sometimes upside down world of Tottenham Hotspur, it's Stefan.
Good morning, mate. How you doing?
Shit. Let's
good.
start.
Good.
So this podcast original plan was just going to be me screaming for about 20 minutes and then the end. You suggested we just open it and say that, yeah, let's not bother, and then leave it and close it again.
Intro music, hi all, goodbye, outro music.
I had to really drag myself to the mic, so to speak, for this, because I kind of pride myself in being fairly measured, fairly level-headed with stuff, and I'm trying to maintain that. I'm trying my very best, but I find myself bombarded on all sides now of just doom.
Yeah.
I'm in our Spurs News chat this morning is just homicide/suicide. Every comment on our social media is just awful. The away fans turned on Ange last night in a really horrible way, which I didn't like at all. Like, booing, yeah, okay. Showing your frustration, yeah, okay. Personal abuse shouted at him, no, I'm really not a fan of that. So yeah, it is hard to find a positive today. Very, very difficult to find any positive.
Yeah, it's been one of those weeks as well. Like, we've had two matches this week, and normally with us, at least one of the games we can talk about and be like, yeah, okay, this happened in this one, but this game,
yeah,
and this week we have kind of shit and shitter.
Yeah.
Poor performance, and then an even worse performance. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah.
Well, we're going to kick off with fan questions, and then we're going to dive into kind of some of the bigger topics which we have. So let's kick off, handing it over to our fellow Spurs fans.
Now it's time for your comments from our social media.
Okay, we have one from Instagram and we have two from Facebook. Where do you want to start?
Let's go with Instagram, because Laura doesn't get that much attention now. So let's give her some.
Whoa, there's a statement. You want to give Laura some? Jesus, man.
Yeah. Can I have reword
It's a
that?
married lady, you're married. Shocking. I mean, we all do, because she's gorgeous, but, you know. We're going to start off with a question. Now, this is from Island Brother. Island Brother, thank you so much for sending something in. I'm not going to play your theme tune because it's far too jolly and happy, and I'm just not in that place. He says, hello, fellow sufferers. To Laura, I hope Spurs isn't intruding on your wedding bliss. No, we hardly hear from her now. She's busy bonking, I think. Bonking. That's very 80s. To everybody else, let's talk XG. Oh, do I have to?
This thing, I can't wrap my head around XG. No matter how many times Dan tries to explain it to me.
XG of 3.31 to our 0.58. Bournemouth should have wiped the floor with us. I'm actually getting worried now. Between our injury crisis and the amount of games we have in December, I can see Levy pulling the trigger. We don't look like qualifying for Europe come January. What do you guys think? Keep doing what you do, and come on, you Spurs. XG is the expected goal stat. This is based on a number of factors like key passes, the chances created, and obviously the chances shots on goal. Yep. Interestingly, the other night, Everton, I think it was Wolves. I think Everton beat them 4-0.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Everton had an XG of less than 1, even though they scored 4 goals. And Wolves had an XG of over 3, even though they got feck all. So the XG stat from me really is a bizarre one. I'm still trying to wrap my head around if it's even remotely relevant to football. But that could just be my age. So I'm just going to throw that out there.
No, see, I'm with you on that. I kind of look at the XG and I'm like, okay, great. So it basically tells you how many good opportunities they had to score.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I'm like, okay, well, surely just have something that says, big chances. Done.
Yeah, well, that's also a separate stat, which is
this really confuses me.
Yeah. When it comes to Daniel Levy, I don't think you can ever discount his ability to shoot himself in the foot, or there are several factors that I've come to realise with Daniel Levy, and a lot of it is based around the fans. We, as a fan group, can moan about him all we want and everything. He ain't going anywhere. So we have to wrap our head around that he is the chairman, Enoch are the owners, and it just isn't going to change until something mad happens.
Yep.
With that being the case, and us with our heads wrapped around that and knowing that's not going to change, we have to also kind of accept certain things about him and how he runs the business that is our football club. One of them is he will stay in the trenches and fight with a manager right up until the point the fans turn. And what I mean by that is he will appoint someone, he'll back them. And I noticed this whole thing about, he never backs managers. He does.
They do.
We don't always agree with the signings, and I don't always think the signings have worked, and I think that a lot of that's down to scouting and things, which I think we've improved greatly recently. However, the club does tend to, okay, we've appointed you, we will now spend X and Y to try and build the squad and go the way you want to go. With Ange, every window we have been adding to the squad in a Ange ball type players. We have done that. So I don't think it's, of course we could always say, yeah, but we could have spent more. Yeah, of course, we could do more. And granted, and 100% with our financial power we have, we probably should be doing more. But again, this is accepting our ownership, accepting our chairman, knowing what they are. We are doing a lot with what we are. Now, again, we come back to this, which is when the fans in the stadium turn, it is when Daniel Levy gets his itchy trigger finger. That's when he loses it. Online, people can say anything. There can be replies to every Tottenham post saying Ange out, and it will get ignored until inside the stadium he hears it. And that is where we have a problem, because last night the away fans turned on Ange in a big way, and it's the away fans that are typically the most diehard, the ones that are the last to turn.
Yeah, if you're travelling down from London to Bournemouth on a Thursday evening for a late kickoff, you've got to be fairly diehard Spurs.
And you also, and you also have every right to be pissed off, by the way, at that performance. So
my worry is what the atmosphere is going to be like come the 75th, 80th minute on Sunday.
Well, look, we'll come on to Sunday, but to answer Island Brothers' question, really, am I concerned about it? Massively. I'm fully expecting Donna Cullen to be briefing journalists that the players are fed up with training today. Now, again, these are patterns that I've come to realise. Whenever Tottenham are going to sack a manager, they start laying the groundwork that what they are doing is because he's lost the dressing room, whoever the manager is. And if everyone thinks back for a moment to every manager we've had, every time they've been sacked, there are stories in the press, or they don't like the training, the sessions are too difficult, it's causing this, it's causing that. And I can guarantee, right, if everyone keeps an eye on the press in the next few days, there will be stuff written in there about players are unhappy. The level of injuries are being caused by coaching methods, and things like that will start getting said. Once that's out there, that is from the club. Everyone will think that's from the players and the agents. That is coming from one particular person who does it every single time. And it will be to soften the ground ready to fire him. So once you see that, once that is there, you know the club are getting ready to pull the trigger. So that's fun. Thank you, Island Brother, for the question. Really appreciate it. We will now head over to Facebook. Where Chris State says, do you think that pre-Premier League football should be included far more in regards to present-day reference? The elitist way it is today, it is as though football did not exist prior to the Premier League. Do modern-day pundits not refer to it because they were not part of it? This is an interesting debate. I want to just put this to you. In your lifetime, because you are younger than me, do you remember pre-Premier League?
Premier League started 92. I was born 90, so no, I only know the Premier League.
Yeah, and you are how old?
34.
Yeah, so you are in...
I should not have to think about that as hard as I just did.
No, I like that. That made me feel better about the fact that every time someone asks me, I'm like, oh, I'm 41, I think. See, I think, Chris, you kind of answered your own question in this, which is the Premier League now has been so long established that there are people who have grown up, played football, retired from football purely in the Premier League. And because of that, as fans as well, there is very little kind of regard and very little active memory for the game before the Premier League. Also, you have to remember that Sky especially were a big part of the Premier League launch, a big part of and football becoming like this massive thing, and the Premier League success largely down to the TV deal, etc.
Yes,
they are therefore propaganda machines for the Premier League, the best league in the world, the best league ever. This is the best. Football has never been this good ever. Football's amazing in the Premier League. Oh, remember back when this team won the old Division 1? No, who cares about that? That's like dead ball. This is football. So it does create that. It does create this thing. Now, we know many clubs who have got a history going back past the 90s know that, well, no, I mean, football's been around a long time and we're all very proud of our history pre-Premier League. However, I think we now have to kind of accept that, yeah, it's just Premier League is amazing, and anyone who did anything outside of that era, boo, it was rubbish back then, who cares?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just kind of how it is.
I think that's pretty much that is how it is now, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Tom Perks says, who out of Brighton, Villa and Forest can sustain this early pace? Will we be the 5th best team at the end of the season, or will Man United and Newcastle leapfrog us?
We're not the 5th best team now. What's going on about end of the season?
I mean, if we won last night, we would have gone 5th, and solidly 5th. Obviously, we didn't. Brighton lost last night, which is a game I thought they'd lose. I thought Fulham at home would be too strong for them. I honestly don't know, because there's so many factors to this. I mean, Forest have been very lucky injury-wise, which we all know can change in just one game. So it'd be interesting. I mean, they potentially could struggle, but then again, they could be lucky and stay injury-free. So I don't know. Brighton, I think, are a bit hit and miss. I think they lost to Fulham last night, which shows that as well. Villa, a lot, I think, are going to depend on Europe, because this is the first season in a long time they are having to compete on that front in addition. And that we know from when we first ever got into that's quite difficult. And we're finding it difficult again this season in the Europa League. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of factors to that, but Focusing on us for a moment, I mean, our form and our for the whole season so far really is mid-table. It's, like win one, lose one, draw one, win one. It is literally the definition of a mid-table side. So unless something changes with us in that regard, I don't see us getting anywhere near the top 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 even. I genuinely think we're going to finish somewhere between 12th and 8th, like the definition of mid-table. But yeah, thank you very much everyone for sending in their questions, their points. We typically dive into the games and sort of chat about the games. I'm not going to do that today, and the main reason why I'm not going to is because I think there are bigger topics off the back of the performances. And I think the main topic I want to kick off with this is it time for Ange to go? And the reason why I'm going to ask that question, not necessarily because of my beliefs or my thoughts on it, is because of what happened last night with the away fans. So Spurs lost the game. The team, for anyone who doesn't know, because they might not have seen this on social media, the players, Son was getting quite irate with some of the players that they weren't going over to applaud the away fans. Ange also then ushered the whole team over. It was a bit of a token applause back, a few boos. When Ange stepped across, the boos became very loud, and then so I'm okay with that. I don't like it, but I am okay with it because I felt, to be honest with you, the fans that have paid that money, made all that effort, deserved more last night. And I think the abject poorness, just crap performance, deserved that kind of reaction. The thing I don't like, which is the thing that's being circulated on the videos, is the personal nasty abuse that was then being shouted at Ange Postecoglou. Our own fans calling him a fat this, fat that, F off back to Australia, you don't know what you're doing, you kangaroo, awful. I mean, just absolute. I don't like it. What are you doing? What do you think you're achieving in that moment? Ange heard it. The players heard it. Ange even shouted a little bit back at someone who was getting really quite irate at him. And then, of course, he has to then get thrust in front of the journalists, the TV press and everyone. And, of course, he gets asked about it non-stop. And I think he actually dealt with it in that moment very well, because he said, obviously, the personal abuse being shouted at him hurt him because he's a human. And therefore, he reacted to that. But he also said he completely understands why people were so angry and so pissed off, because he's angry and pissed off. What's your opinion on what happened, mate? Because I was very angry at that performance. I was very upset with it. I was fully expected the away fans to be annoyed, but I then felt ashamed of listening to the abuse shouted at Ange.
Yeah, I think I can completely understand all the booing and everything, because I would have been booing myself. I think if I'd have been in the stadium, it was, like I say, terrible performance from all around. But I am very much one of these people, you don't go for personal attacks. Like, I remember last season or the season before, some of the stuff being shouted at, like, Davinson Sanchez and stuff. It's just, you don't need to go personal.
No.
You can tell him, boo, wasn't good enough, boo, that was shit, boo, sort out your tactics, sort out this, learn how to mark from set pieces, do anything like that, fine, shout it.
Yeah.
Don't go personal. Why is there need? Like, there is no need. Is basically what I'm saying. There's no need to go personal. Like, if you want to shout stuff at them, at least kind of make it relevant for the football team.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, tell him, shout your tactics don't work, or shout something like that, because that's probably what you're feeling at that point. Go, you fat Aussie! Like, what's that? That's got nothing to do with football.
No. I mean, I'm kind of laughing because we both know that that's not how it works when someone's wound up and irate. You
No.
don't say. You don't shout, "Oi, Ange! You need to work on the marking at set pieces because it's quite poor at the moment." It doesn't happen, does
Mate,
it? It's
oh,
just,
no, it doesn't, but that would be one of the funniest things you ever hear on telly.
yeah.
Some really irate bloke. You need to work on marking the back post.
Well, I just,
What?
yeah.
Yeah.
So here's so one of the things that I'm becoming increasingly kind of want to drive my head through a wall thing is the set piece narrative. About how poor we are at defending set pieces and how it's like an ongoing thing. And we conceded from a corner last night. Two of our defenders were awful for it. Dragusin appeared to just completely not see a runner come in. But more than that, we were playing a zonal system, and that guy ran into a zone, and rather than the person defending that zone attacking the ball, he just stood there, and that was Udogi. Now,
Yeah.
people can pick out and blame who they want, but when you're running a zonal system, which we were in that defensive play, if the ball is coming into your zone, it is on you to attack that ball to get rid of it. That is on you. That is your responsibility. Your responsibility is to clear that ball. It's coming into your zone. You are the one who's going to win the ball. That's the whole friggin' premise of that defensive setup.
Yep.
So I want to put to you right now, who is to blame then in that instance? Because if you have set up tactically, worked on it, and coached your team to defend like the zone, you honestly cannot tell me that you think that Ange Postecoglou and the coaching team have told Udogi, "Oh, just stand there. Just stand in the zone. It's fine." There's no way on this earth that's happened.
No.
So
Not.
how is Ange to blame for our set pieces?
No. They clearly need to be worked on more because.
But how do you know how
like
much
the
they're
free
worked
headers
on?
and stuff?
Yeah, but how do you know how much they're worked on?
You don't. For me is one of the worries.
But you don't. But my point on this is where it's coming from. How many goals have we conceded from set pieces this season in the Premier League?
Goals themselves, I don't know the answer to that. I'll be honest with you.
3.
Okay.
So do we have a problem?
I think we concede far too many chances from set pieces.
Yeah. But
if the opposition had scored more of those obvious chances we've given them, we'd probably be having a very different conversation.
yeah, but if my auntie had wheels, she'd be a bike. That's a nonsense thing. Sorry, that always makes me laugh, that analogy.
That's a proper old school, and that is.
Yeah, but it is a nonsense. That's like saying, yeah, but if we'd scored our chances, we'd have won 8-0. They scored their chances, they'd have won 8-0, but we didn't. They didn't. The game finished 1-0. We did surrender chances, but our keeper
they
saved
should have
them.
scored 5 or 6 easy. I don't know how they didn't, but yeah.
Yeah, but again, we had 3 or 4 chances or something. We had the first good chance of the game, and goals change games. Solanke should have scored. He missed a very easy chance. Now, again, based on sort of our discussions we're having here, Solanke scores that goal, the game changes. Our confidence goes up. They then have to play a bit more abrasive, come out a bit more. That creates more space. We're more confident. We're moving the ball better. We started the game quite well. But then once we conceded, rather than reacting to it, we went into our shells like, oh, here we go again. And then it just became dismal. But my point just on this set pieces thing is because I find myself getting into this argument constantly, and I feel bombarded with it to the point that I'm like, oh, okay, fine, I'll just accept it. All right, fine, we're shit. We're shit at defending set pieces. But when you concede 3 goals from them in the league this season, and you look around at the other teams around us that are doing better than us, for example, so there are teams higher than us in the league that have conceded more from set pieces. I think even Liverpool have conceded more from set pieces. But they're scoring more, they're doing more, they're controlling games. None of them have a narrative that they can't defend set pieces, though, even though they've conceded more. So is this a case of, because last season we had a real problem. I genuinely said that. You said it. We had a real problem where we were not defending set pieces well, and we were conceding practically every game. Like, the team would get a corner and I'd be like, oh shit, that's a goal. like genuinely, that's how it felt, and that was kind of the reality last season. I think someone showed me the stat the other day that we conceded like 18 goals from set pieces in like 23 games. There was like a block.
Wow.
So like the last 23 games, we conceded 18 goals from set pieces. That was free kicks and corners. This season, I don't know how many games we're in because I'm just in this kind of rage thing at the moment, but we've only conceded 3. So it's even interesting to me that Sky have been pushing this narrative like really quite strongly about how we can't defend. Gary Neville especially. Every time Sky discuss the stat, they include last season. Everyone check this, and I'm not lying, I'm not making it up.
Yeah, it's always since Ange took over sort of thing. Yeah. It's not this season. Yeah. It's since the start of last season when Ange took control.
Because it doesn't suit the narrative. And the problem is when the press and the media start doing this, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy to an extent, but also the fans then believe it beyond all belief. Like, the fans are now just convinced, oh, we're shit at defending set pieces. So when we concede, people are going mental, rather than just being like, oh, shit, poor marking on that one. Or, oh, shit, that was a good free kick. Do you know what I mean? Rather than crediting the opposition, or rather than, like, Arsenal scored against us from a corner. Arsenal are scoring against everybody from set pieces. But I remember our fans going fucking mental. We conceded from a set piece. But Arsenal have done that to everybody this season. They are demolishing teams from set pieces. They have worked on and are the masters of scoring goals. So do we not credit them? We're shit at defending. We don't credit them at all. Like last night, genuinely, that ball was played into a zone that Destiny Udogie should have dealt with, and he didn't. And their defender was able to run all the way around with no one blocking him off, no one challenging him, and just get a free header. That is unacceptable. All of us can just 100% agree that that was shit.
Yep.
But it was also isolatedly shit. And what I mean by that is, you do look at the stats, look at where we are this season. It's not like that is happening 10 times a game, every game. It's not. There are times corners are good attacking opportunities, and yeah, their chances are created from them. Not when we fucking take them, by the way. We seem to just like bang them in the box and their keeper for fucking catching practice. But every other team in the league seems to have the ability to put the ball in. I'm watching a lot of football. Most football fans are. I watched Arsenal Man United the other day. Every time Arsenal had a corner, they looked like they were going to score. Every time United had a couple of corners, they nearly scored from. There's a delict header with a hell of a save. I watched the Man City game, same thing. I watched all the set pieces create chances. And if you've got a good keeper, you've got a good defender or two, like clearing it off the line and stuff, that's what they're there for. Teams will create chances in the Premier League. So I can't buy into this thing of like, everyone's terrible, we are terrible at defending set pieces. Last season, I 100% agree. This season, I don't. Because, one, the stats back me up, and two, I'm watching it, I'm seeing it with my eyes. Like, we can see maybe 15 corners in a game, and we defend 14 of them fine. We can see one goal, and everyone's like, oh shit, we can't defend corners. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't to me.
Yeah.
You disagree?
Again, it goes... I know exactly what you're saying, but for me, it's the amount of chances that we are giving away from those corners. That is what worries me. Like, I know they've only conceded from 3 corners this season. Fine. Yeah. But it's not just corners. It's the free kicks into the box. It's stuff like that. And it's the fact that we are allowing chances so easily.
Yeah, it's 3 goals from set pieces, by the way, not just corners.
Oh, 3 from 10, but still, it's the amount of chances that we are giving away, and the amount of free headers that we give away, and the fact that we're lucky enough that the opposition haven't scored more. than
So,
three.
so that's pure luck, not defending, not good goalkeeping. That's pure luck.
The amount of free headers and stuff we give away, there's part of that's got to be luck.
Okay.
Like, you can't give away that many free opportunities and have them only score three and go, it's okay, we're brilliant at this because, they can't hit the target.
No, I don't. Well, so
you can't give away that many free chances and then be like, no, we're great.
Well, how many free chances are we giving away then? Do you think per game?
Yesterday was at least 2, maybe 3 from set pieces. They scored 1.
Yeah.
So again, that's not us defending.
And when you
still
watch,
gave them 3 chances.
And when you watch other teams in the league and teams create chances from corners and free kicks, you think they're all shit at defending them as well?
I think they clearly need to work on them, same as we do. That's what I'm saying. We need to work on. Like yesterday, it was Dragusin's man, who Dragusin starts to run with the man, then kind of runs into one of our defenders, and then the ball just goes straight over Udogi, and the guy at the back post free header straight across the goal. You sit and you just go, "How has that happened? Like, how has that happened?" Yeah. But it's just one of those things we seem to be constantly kind of like, how have we allowed that to happen?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess our view's different on this. I mean, I credit opposition in the fact that they are creating chances. I don't see, I don't think you can create a defence and a goalkeeper and everything in the Premier League especially where you're not going to concede chances in a game. In a game of 90-odd minutes, teams are going to create against you, and set pieces especially, and set pieces will happen in a game. I think you can say there's an element of luck, but then there's an element of luck for every team. There's an element of luck for Bournemouth last night that Solanke didn't finish better. Is that lucky or is that good goalkeeping? It's a little bit lucky because if he did it either side of the keeper, it would have gone in.
Yeah, and they had the same sort of chance. They had Justin Clivert went through on goal.
Yeah.
And again, if he'd hit that 3 or 4 yards either side,
I mean, if
he scored that.
So again, is that lucky or is that good goalkeeping or what is it? You can debate that till the cows come home because to a certain extent, Forster closed the angle. He made himself very big, and Kluivert couldn't finish past him.
Yeah.
Same as the other chance for Solanke. But at the same time, you'd back the strikers really in those moments. You'd think the strikers should score.
Yes.
So I feel like you can go round and round on that, and it just feels to me that it's like a narrative that exists, and it's just going to keep battering us. And if Ange does get sacked, then a large part of that is going to be down to narratives that are created. Now, there's a narrative, and it's happened before with players. Like, there was a narrative around Harry Winks that destroyed his career at the club. The narrative was that he only ever passed it backwards. It was created by an analyst who did something on a Monday Night Football where one game, it was something like 90% of his passes weren't progressive. They didn't go forward. They were sideways or backwards. And after that, the fans lumped on that, and every time he passed the ball, you'd hear groans in the stadium even.
Oh, it was awful, yeah.
What was maddening about that is over the course of a season, every season he was at the club, he made more progressive passes than anyone else in the midfield, including Ericsson and other players who were in the side at the time. He also had a responsibility of just keeping the ball moving. His whole game was ball retention and making himself available constantly for our defenders to play it out from the back. That was his game. That was what he was doing. He was taking the ball, turning, passing, or passing it back, keep the ball moving, keep the opposition unable to press.
Yep.
And so a lot of his passes were short, sharp, backwards, sideways, moving around, and he was constantly moving to ensure that he could keep doing that.
And it kept the ball moving, and it kept the move moving.
Yeah. It was like that was his whole thing. So people who didn't recognise that just had that narrative pushed. They then, with their own eyes, saw, that's backwards again. Oh, that's sideways again. Oh, my God, he's so shit. It killed him. It destroyed his confidence. Managers came in, couldn't pick him, couldn't play him. Or he groans every time he passed the ball. His career with us was done. He had to go. that was a narrative. That was something that was pushed and pushed and pushed and just spread when it wasn't true. It wasn't reality. Yeah, of course he saw him pass the ball backwards. Everybody does at some point. But it doesn't mean that was what he was always doing. No one recognised anything else that was happening. And then, yeah, his career was done with us. You saw just his whole ability and confidence drain from him. And that was it. It was done. We are in a very similar position now, but with Ange and this whole team, where the fans have now got it in their heads that this is a problem, this is an issue, no one's doing anything about it, and Ange Ball doesn't work. It's become a narrative. It doesn't work. He's out of his depth. That's a thing that I'm seeing thrown around more and more. It's a question you posed to me the other day. Is he simply out of his depth based on the results we're getting in the Premier League? Does Ange Ball not work in the Premier League? I think it is a valid question to be asking right now, given our results. My counter to it, which is a conversation we've had a little bit ourselves away from the podcast, is that there is a lot of similarities. It's not the same in any sense. There's like a real key differences. But the way Pep Guardiola has Man City play and has had them play for several seasons, the high risk, high reward nature of his style of football is very similar to the way Ange wants Tottenham to play Ange Ball. It is similar in the sense of high risk, high reward, high line, and in this kind of the way we play. We are trying to outscore the opposition, not, keep it tight and snatch a game. That's the way Pep plays, that's the way Ange plays. Very similar probability. Now, when it works, I don't think there's a Tottenham fan around that didn't enjoy us thumping Man City 4-0. I don't think there's a Tottenham fan around that didn't enjoy us thumping Aston Villa, West Ham. When it works, it is special. It is wonderful to watch. It is exceptional. When it doesn't work, and for whatever those reasons are, it is gobshite. It is really, really
it's
difficult.
Absolutely atrocious.
It is really difficult
not working.
to watch, right? Now, I said a few times about the comparisons with Man City, and I always got kind of shit on for that comparison because Man City were so consistent and we weren't. Now Man City have had their November from hell, where they didn't win a game, and everybody can see that the high risk, high reward, even from Man City, with all of the expensive players they've got and all of the superstars and all of the trophies they've won and all of the confidence they've got, shows that when it doesn't work, they look average. They look bang average. They went 3-0 up. I can't remember, is it Feyenoord?
Yeah, Feyenoord then drew 3-3 in the last 15 minutes.
That is the definition of Spursy. That is literally like what everyone slates us for. And Man City did it a couple of weeks ago. The great Manchester City. Manchester City got hammered by us 4-0. We played them off the park. We really did. And yet, again, and it's just... So my point on this is when it works, when this style of football works, it is exceptional. So where is the issue? Why is it that we can do that? And I bring this back to a motivational issue. I bring this back to, it is very easy for a group of players to see on the fixture list Manchester City, it's a massive game, be motivated for it and go out there and play Ange Ball at the level they did and win the game and play brilliantly.
Yep.
It is harder to find the motivation for Thursday night in Bournemouth. It is harder to find the motivation for Fulham on a Sunday afternoon. It is harder to find the motivation for Ipswich on a Sunday afternoon. And this is where the club as a whole have struggled under countless managers. Like I could list them, and a few of these names are two of the best managers of recent times in Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte. They had the same problem. They would win a game, lose a game. They would lose ridiculous matches. I mean, Jose Mourinho arguably one of the greatest tactical minds in football. If you had a one-off match you needed to win to like save your football club, and you could pick any manager to manage it, even to this day, even disliking him, I'd still probably pick Jose. Like genuinely, to win a one-off game.
Yeah.
And yet that man lost a game in Europe to a team who would be in the 4th tier of English football, and their manager was in jail at the time.
That was it. Yeah, their manager wasn't even there.
And yet we lost because he struggled to motivate Tottenham, the squad of players, to win that game. So we have a problem within our football club that is just there is just an issue within the football club of being motivated to play every single week. That you could, and the thing is, and the reason why I say it's an issue within the football club is because it has been ongoing for manager after manager after manager, and for player after player after player. The squad is largely unrecognisable that play now to when Jose had it. It is transformed. It is every window it's transforming more, but it has transformed. And yet this same issue remains. The same issue that has been there for a long, long time. Now, with that being said, can you, and this is where the difficult thing is, can you blame Ange when it's been the same issue that Jose faced, the other bloke faced, Conte faced, all the times Ryan Mason's had it, we faced? Is it Ange's fault, therefore, that this problem continues? You know, are we saying that we just got to keep firing managers until we find one that can fix it? Or is there a bigger systemic issue within the football club that is causing this attitude that needs to be addressed? What do you think? Because I mean, like you said to me, and like I said, you rightly have the reason to ask it. Is Ange out of his depth? As well, I mean, I've just laid out my thoughts on it. Well, where's your head?
It is incredible. Like you say, like it is incredibly worrying how we can go from Poch to Jose to Nuno to Conte to Ryan Mason a couple of times, and then to Ange. The squad, as you say, has completely transformed. Yeah. I mean, you've got Son and Davies.
Yeah.
I can't think of anyone else on the top of my head that was there for Poch.
No, I mean, Austin, Whiteman, a couple of
those two. But yeah, like main squad players.
Yeah. And
I'm like, as much as I want to see Austin getting some game time, Foster has actually done really bloody well in goal. But that's a side note. Yeah. It's a concern that why, as a club, can we not be motivated?
Yeah.
Why? Because if it's because it's because we're Tottenham Hotspur. We're Tottenham Hotspur that haven't won a trophy since 2008.
Yeah.
Like that is no fucking hill to go and die on.
No.
And we need to sort it out. And I am at a loss as to why a group of young, what should be hungry for progression and hungry for trophies, squad of players can't get themselves motivated for these games, and why the manager is unable to get the squad up and motivated. Like, they should be motivated because, you want to go play in the best tournaments. Okay, so you want to go play in the Champions League. Well, to get in the Champions League, you have to win football matches. And that means you have to beat anyone you're playing against, whether it's Bournemouth, whether it's Ipswich, whether it's Palace, whether it's Arsenal, Chelsea and City. You need to win football matches to get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
Unless you are all happy just being a mid-table team, in which case, fuck off and go and join one because we want to be progressing something better.
Yeah, I mean, you just said in amongst that, which is the point, I think, which is where the fans are and where my head is, which is, Ange needs to be motivating them. Like the manager, whoever the manager is, needs to be motivating them to succeed, to play well, to hit a level of consistency, and it's not happening. But my point is, and this is where I'm worried, is that Jose couldn't do it. The other one couldn't do it. Conte couldn't do it. And now Ange can't do it. Do we just keep firing managers? Did you see my point on this? Because
there needs to be a, we're having the rebuild. We're seeing that rebuild now.
Yeah.
But
like if it was me, like let's just put me in the hot seat for a minute, and I'm in charge of the football side of the football. Like I've been put in charge of this. Now there is Scott Munn. Scott Munn is apparently now, as of I think midway through last season, fully in charge of the football aspect of Tottenham Hotspur FC. Daniel Levy is the budgets man. Obviously, he'll say the final yes or no on big money items. But Scott Munn is running things. So let me just pretend for a minute that I am him and I'm making the decisions on this. I would be talking to Ange and I would be talking to Lang, our recruitment guy, and my conversation would be, several of these players aren't doing it. Let's get rid of them. Because my issue is about us firing managers over and over again. Is that the notion that sends is that, one, the players aren't accountable. And that is a problem I think this football club has, which is managers come and go. I remember when Pochettino joined and Aaron Lennon told him, I ain't doing double training sessions, you'll be gone before I am. And I remember that. No, it didn't, because on that, but Pochettino very nearly did get fired before Lennon was gone. If it wasn't for Harry Kane's emergence, he would have gone. And then he was able to build a side and do very well for a couple of seasons. But my point is that attitude existed within Tottenham at that point. I'm starting to wonder if there's a few people that have that attitude now, which is, I'm comfortable here, I'm good here. So football, the results are going badly. I'm fine. It'd be the manager that gets sacked. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm okay. Now, I've talked a lot about this in the past, and like, I hate Chelsea Football Club with a passion, and I think Roman Abramovich was a money laundering piece of shit. But the one thing he created within that football club, in the way he ran it, was that their standards, if they ever dropped, like if I bought you for 50 million quid and you are shit for us, I will sell you for 10 million quid and buy someone else for 50 million to replace you. Which meant that everybody in that squad the whole time knew that, if I don't perform, I'm gone. Like, my opportunity at this club is done. Like, if I don't hit the standards.
Yeah.
We don't do that. We allow players to drift, to be shite, to be, we signed him hoping he'd be amazing, now he's just a squad player. We allow that. And because of that, it is created, and I think a problem where we have now a ridiculously comfortable squad. And our chairman, everybody knows it, every football fan, and therefore every player knows, fires managers. That's what he does. So if I'm a player at the football club, I'm not worried. I'm fine. So the manager goes, the new manager comes in.
With that worries me the most is how many of these players came out and have said, I spoke to Ange, and after one phone call, I knew I had to be here. Yeah. I wanted to come and play for Ange.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what are you guys going to do when you guys have shit performances and the manager gets sacked, and then in comes someone who doesn't rate your ability, doesn't actually care about the personal side of things like Ange does?
Then they're under contract for X amount of money. If they get sold, they'll earn X.
That right there, that is the exact problem I kind of have, is the way football kind of works is that, they've all said this about Ange, but if Ange gets sacked because of them, none of them are going to lose out.
No, there's no account.
The absolute worst is they will get a manager who doesn't believe in them, and they will get paid $100,000 a week and not have to run around for 90 minutes.
Well, this, exactly.
I'm fucking hell, that's a punishment, isn't it?
Yeah, now this is the next thing which I want to come on to, which is the discussion around Ange being sacked. One, let's say Daniel Levy does what Daniel Levy does and he pulls the trigger and Ange is gone. The coaching team will mostly be broken up, and I'm guessing Ryan Mason and Matt Wells will be put in temporary charge until the club can find a new manager. So part one of that, look around for managers that are available and you tell me who is there that you would take instantly and think will improve us. I can't think of anyone available.
No.
I can't think of anyone. In fact, I can't even think of anyone unavailable that I would grab and think, yes, this is the man for us. I like really just think that's a madness. Two, whoever we bring in, so whoever is recruited, whether we steal him from another club or we recruit Potter or Moyes or someone like that who's available, let's say that whoever comes in, none of them, not a person, will play Ange ball. Not
Nope.
one of them, because it's unique. It's something he's created. It's a philosophy he has. So therefore, we have been building a squad for several windows to play this style of football and to complement Ange. And therefore, whoever comes in will say, quite rightly as well, we're going to need to change the squad, or you're going to need to spend, you're going to need to back me to play my way of football. The same as every other manager that's ever come in. And therefore, once again, we will go back to the very, very start of this process of being a team in transition, rebuilding. If we are constantly doing that, we are constantly going nowhere. We are constantly going to be stuck in this mid-table shite. So this is going to be my final thought on this before I move on to a couple of more specific things which are just weird and wonderful. And that is, when Mikel Arteta took charge of Arsenal, he had his first 2 seasons where a lot of their fans wanted him sacked. Do you remember where they finished in the league those first 2 seasons he was in charge?
Like 8th place both times, and I'm pretty sure Tottenham fans were singing, like, never sack him. Yeah.
And then they finally managed to get the squad to where he wanted it to be, to play the way he wanted it to play, and they've been challenging for the title for the last 2 seasons and will probably challenge this season as well. Why is it that our fan base are unable to look at that and go, okay, this is painful, this is difficult to watch, this is very up and down, where we look great and then we look shite. However, if we keep chopping and changing, we are constantly stuck in that cycle. We are going to be constantly stuck in that initial phase of a new manager working things out, implementing systems. Why is it that I seem to be the only person who can see that?
I think once, so we played last night. I think if you spoke to someone like a couple of days after a result, you would like to think that the rational kind of, like last night, oh mate, I was fuming last night.
Yeah.
Like after that result, I wanted Ange and most of the squad gone.
Yeah.
Like I am bored. I have not enjoyed a Tottenham game successfully, like consistently enjoyed 2 games one after the other for bloody ages.
Yeah.
Like I do not, like, it's difficult to enjoy watching Tottenham right now because even when we're 2-0 up at half time, we're going to lose 3-2 at the end of it.
Yeah.
And it is difficult to watch us. And yeah, like if you'd have asked me straight after the game last night, I'd have had Ange gone and half the squad.
Yeah.
You then you go away, you sleep on it, you wake up the next morning, you're pissed off about the result, but you're kind of like, right, okay, we go again. And I'd like to think a lot of the people that are shouting for Ange out kind of go away from it afterwards. They then kind of sit there, think about it and go, yeah, but when it does work, we beat Aston Villa 4-1. We beat Man City 4-0. We beat United. When it works, let's be honest, when it works, it works.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. So, I mean, I don't know what the club's going to do. I'm fearful that a really bad result against Chelsea could be the final straw, because if you're going to pull the trigger, you want to do it ahead of the January window, because you don't want to have a person in charge of that who you're not backing. Like I said,
I am worried about the Chelsea game. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to lose quite badly. But
The way Chelsea are playing now, they seem to be kind of a bit more back to what
yeah.
the Chelsea are. And
They're a good side, and we got a terrible record against them. So there's no doubt in my mind we're going to lose. But I don't think losing to Chelsea should lose Ange's job, but I think it might.
if we lose to Rangers and then Southampton, that's when I think he will be. That's when he will be in trouble. Like if we lose to Chelsea, I think we've all got to sit there and go, Chelsea are a club with fantastic players who last season we all called absolute batshit with the amount of money they were spending, and this season has slotted into place. I think if we lose to Rangers, that's going to be difficult to swallow. But Rangers are going to be so up for that game because it's Ange.
Yep.
That's going to be difficult. Away at Rangers, though, if we can get a draw there, honestly, I think if we get a draw away at Rangers, we've done fairly well with the injuries and everything we've got at the moment. I think on the 15th of December, if we lose away to Southampton, I think that's when we could start really seeing some problems.
Okay. So there's a couple of points I just wanted to pick up, which are just weird and wonderful. So injuries, you just mentioned it then. One of the things I saw recurring theme last night is that you cannot use injuries as an excuse because it would appear that our injuries around this time of year are consistent under Ange. Therefore, it's clearly his coaching, his training, his methods that are causing the problem. Do you think that that is a fair critique, or do you think that we've just been unlucky?
Honestly, I don't know. If I'm completely honest, we don't know what the training sessions are. Like if it comes out that actually, yeah, Ange is making every player do full sprints, they're not allowed to jog, everything has to be absolute maximum, then you'd look at that and go, yeah, okay, the training is probably what's causing injuries.
Don't you think if that was the case, we would have heard? Don't you think if that was the case, we would have heard about that by now, though?
Like you would like to think so, wouldn't you? Like something would have come out from somewhere.
Yeah. Like I talked about how the club briefs on like, oh, the players don't like training. But the players, if you felt you were being put in danger for your career by the training methods and what's being asked of you, surely you
something would have been leaked.
Yeah.
Not being funny, Dragusin's
I was about to say
Dragusin's to like agent, to talk to everyone that will listen to him, so something would have come out.
Dragusin, so I find that hard to believe. The next thing, which is a mad thing, really, but the problem is when you read something mad and you ignore it, but it's in your brain. Do you remember last season there was this mad rumour went around that Kulusevski and Johnson hated each other and therefore would never pass to each other?
Yes.
And me and you heard that, we laughed about it, and then we watched like 3 or 4 games and we were like, oh my God, I'm starting to think this is real. Like
they don't actually pass to each other.
Like, it was mad. And of course they did, but it was just kind of like, it's become a thing now.
It then even got to the stage like when we scored, they would celebrate with the players, but they'd stand like players apart when they celebrate. I remember it was brilliant.
We were watching it, we were keeping an eye on it. Now look, Jed Spence signed a new contract with us after really impressing in pre-season and starting the season very well as a utility left back, right back, doing great. He really did do well, and it was great. It was like, oh, this is brilliant, this is a real redemption. And he got offered a new deal and he signed it. 2 days after he signed that deal, there was a rumour flying around. Now, I want to point this out really clearly. Sometimes there is stuff that I read and I'm told from people that I know and I trust that is accurate, and then there's sometimes you just read things like on Twitter, and so I'm going to put this out there that this is not from anybody reputable or anything like that. And I told you at the time, like, oh, I just read this in this like mad. So what I read was that that Jed Spence, after signing his contract, went out and got absolutely levered to celebrate, showed up still drunk, and therefore was internally disciplined by the club. Jed Spence. Now, the problem is this was put out there like, oh, this has happened. He then wasn't in the next matchday squad, so I was like, eyebrow raised. And the thing went out, oh, he's picked up a slight injury in training, nothing serious, he'll be back next week. And I was like, oh, okay. Ooh, all right, no worries. He then didn't make the next 3 matchday squads, and I was like, okay, but this is Tottenham, you know. Oh, the player's got a slight muscle injury. 3 years later, after 10 successful surgeries, he can walk again, hooray! You know, so I'm kind of like, oh, obviously it was worse than what was. So again, I'm kind of ignoring this thing. And of course, that's growing now. This one person put it out, now people are sharing it, now people are saying, well, hang on a minute. He hadn't been involved in a matchday squad, you know, no one's really talking about this, what's going on? Then he started making the bench again, it was like, oh, right, okay, and then kind of vanished again. Obviously can't play in Europe, and, you know, players were generally fit, but now we've got a situation where last night, Pedro Porro in the last game, we discussed it, was dead, on his feet, out, he couldn't move.
Oh, yeah.
The guy was clearly fatigued to hell. And I said, if Pedro Porro starts again against Bournemouth, then Ange is an idiot, because there's no way you can keep starting him. He decided to put young Archie Gray in at right back, with Jed Spence sat on the bench. Now, What has happened? Because I'm now at a point where, was that real? Because what the hell has happened? He is gone from, I am so happy with him as our mate, you know, our kind of cover, that I'm going to give him a new contract, to the minute that was signed, he has not played. He's not. I think someone again following this conspiracy theory said he's had 7 minutes off the bench since signing his new deal.
Wow.
What the hell has happened? So I can go one further.
I don't understand.
I can go one further with a fun one for you.
Yeah.
There is apparently, and this one I just can't believe in a million years because I know our club so well. In Archie Gray signing for us, there was a clause about him having so many minutes this season, or he would be available for transfer for the price we paid in the summer. I just find that so hard to believe.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they kind of like marry into this conspiracy theory crazy of, okay, so you're starting a guy we've signed as a defensive midfielder. You've made it abundantly clear when we signed him, he's a midfielder. This is how we see him. I know he played right back last season, but we see him as a midfielder. That's what he is. But we're going to play him at left back, right back, central defence. It's like every time someone's missing or someone's injured, it's like, I'll put Gray in there, get him some more minutes. It's like, well, hang on a minute. It
does kind of feel that way, doesn't it, now?
You've got a right back sat there on the bench, literally a right back. He's been a right back all his life. He's proven that he really can play Ange ball quite well. Why are we ignoring him? What's going on? Hello?
Yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah.
Just like I say, we've given him a new contract. Hello.
So what is going on? And the other thing, like, why aren't journalists asking that question? I read the transcripts of press conferences. Why did no one last night say, Ange, thank you very much. I was wondering if you could clarify your selection decision and also clarify why perhaps, you didn't look to the bench. What, Jed Spence shagging your missus? What the fuck's going on?
Yeah, Pedro Porro, who you rested because, he's knackered.
Yeah, you brought
him on first.
Yeah. Can you clarify, please, Ange? Because we're all a little bit confused.
Yeah, please tell us why that happened.
Yeah. Can we clarify? Also, Jed Spence has proven himself at left back as well, playing Ange ball. Because, of course, it's inverted. So, whether you're right-footed or left-footed, as long as you've got that confidence on the ball, which he definitely has, he's proven himself to actually be quite tidy on the left. Udogie is playing shite at the moment. I'm going to put that out there. His form is in the toilet. I think there's two factors to this. One, I think he's the first choice left back nailed on and he knows it. And therefore he has allowed himself to become so comfortable. No one is pushing him. There is just no one there pushing him at all. And yet there is Jed Spence, who could conceivably start at left back or come on at left back to send a frigging message to Destiny that, do you know what? If you are going to keep ballsing up, you are going to keep making these simple mistakes, you are going to keep having these lapses of concentration and not playing well enough, you're done.
Yeah, we have players that can come in and can perform well. So, step up.
Yeah, but we're not doing it. So,
No.
So again, this is a problem, and this is going to come back on Ange, and this is where people are getting frustrated because we're watching players week in, week out not perform, and week in, week out get picked again and again and again. And you can point to the injuries and stuff, but there are players sat there right now that we're like, well, why aren't you giving them a chance? The last thing I just want to touch on is Mikey Moore. Mikey Moore missed a game and they said he was ill. He missed the next game and they said, oh, it was a nasty virus, so he's taking a little bit to recover from. They're now saying he ain't back till January.
Yeah, that's...
No one else asking questions about that? Like, is he okay? Like genuinely, for the young man, is he all right? Because, surely we should all be concerned by that.
No one picks up a cold and gets ruled out for a month and a half.
Yeah, I mean, nasty flu, COVID, something's happened, which is, I don't know, but no one seems to be talking about it. No one's asking the question, is he okay? Because we're all, all you've told us is that he was ill. Oh, it was actually a really nasty virus. It's going to take him a bit to recover. And now it's, he won't be back till the new year. What? Why isn't anyone pressing that? Why isn't anyone saying...
Someone needs to be asking questions.
Yeah, what, has he picked up an injury, coming back in training? What is going on? That was it. That was my finishing the show with some conspiracy corner, just because I put it out there. The next game is Chelsea. Obviously, I'm not looking forward to it. I don't think any Tottenham fan is. One would hope, being a very strong team, the team will show up and show that they are motivated to perform. But at the same time, like I said, our history against Chelsea and their form and our form, there appears to be only one result in this. I'm sorry to everyone that this show wasn't more positive. I do try my very best on a regular basis to take a more positive route. I know Matt of this show would be shouting at me right now that I wasn't positive enough, but my general feeling is this kind of, I'm not Ange out by any sense of the means. I don't think that resolves anything. I don't think it solves anything, and I actually really, really like Ange ball, but I want to see it every week. I can accept that some weeks it won't work, and I can accept sometimes teams will be better than us. But what is pissing me off is the feeling that it's we're not trying, we're not hitting our mark, we're not kind of getting there, and that's kind of,
we're so far off of what we know we can do.
Yeah, when you see the way we played against Man City, you then have every right to say, why can't this side be like that every week? You've shown your level, your capability, individually and as a team. So where is that against Ipswich? Where is that against Fulham? Where is that against Bournemouth? And that is a question that I think is valid for all of us to ask. And that is a question of the players, that is a question of Ange, and we're just going to have to see, what comes next. But yeah, hopefully some of this podcast was an interesting discussion. Hopefully everyone listening isn't too depressed. We will be back next week as the show rolls on. Until then, everybody, I hope you all take care.
Oh, God, I hope the next podcast is a happy one. Come on, Spurs.
Thank you for listening to the Spurs News Podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Stay up to date with all things Tottenham. Follow us on social media. All links are in the podcast description.